All right, what's good, boys, and welcome back to the Brothers in Christ podcast. I always wanted to say Discord, the Brothers of Christ podcast. And today we have a topic that I think might offend a few people, but we're going to explain it very carefully, very thoroughly, and I think you will understand why we have the point we have right now. And I think this can help a lot of young Christian men, especially. So, what are we talking about today, guys?
We're going to talk about how self improvement is actually destroying your mental health. And we're going to bring up some points and just to prove why. And then we're going to try to help you guys, encourage you guys to get on a better path. And we'll discuss that towards the end.
Zell, would you like to talk about actually why, the importance of actually getting onto self-improvement in the first place, and like why people should start? I feel like the idea of self-improvement has changed a lot recently, and how it originally started.
Okay. So originally, like back in the day, in the OG days of self improvement before the rise of like big like mainstream YouTubers, um, the original reason to be on self improvement was just to become a better version of you. It was usually, I think, if you had an addiction you were struggling with, overcoming that. If you had an insecurity, it was just sharpening you up as a man. But what it's actually turned into nowadays is more of like a, if you don't do all like these 10 different habits every single day and check them all off, then you're a failure. You're never going to get the girl you want. You're not going to make it anywhere in life. It's become like a psychological manipulation, and we're going to dive into like why has this occurred and what ways we can like go about it now that we understand this knowledge. So would you like to start us off, Kevin?
Yeah. Well, I just want to first say, like improving, it's not a bad thing. Okay. I think the issue is your intention with it all, right? We should change this whole self-improvement mindset and just almost implement like an improving mindset. It's I think the issue comes when it's all about the self, when you are becoming very internal with yourself, and you know only focusing on self gain and what can you gain for yourself, how can you be better than other people, how can you stand out, how can you be, you know it's all about the mindset that you do these things in. It seems harmless, but I believe, it does cause mental illness. It causes unnecessary stress. It can cause anxiety. It just, I noticed with myself when I was very big into self improvement, I just, subconsciously gained this like weird mindset in life. And it kind of made me to become a little bit weird. I'm not going to lie. And, my mindset was a little bit weird. I feel like a lot of people that are going on to self improvement, they start getting this weird mindset in life, and I do believe it can hold them back. It doesn't allow you to see the proper picture of things in life. And I'm not saying improving is a bad thing. We should all strive to be better, of course, in life. you know Self-improvement can be a good thing in ways like it's getting a lot of young men out there to become less lazy, right? It's getting them to break their addiction to comfort. And these things are, addictions to comfort and being lazy, these are obviously not good. Now, the Bible obviously talks about this as well. Everything in self-improvement, you get it in the Bible as well. You get it in Christianity. Like, don't be
Yeah.
lazy, you know? You get that with following Christ, okay? Breaking your addictions to comfort and addictions in general, Christ. You get that with Christ as well. Um, you become a much harder worker as well, following Christ as well. And also you become much more purposeful as well, following Christ. And a lot of these things, I think, with self improvement, these young men are trying to chase this purpose. They're trying to chase this deeper meaning in their life. They come to a stage in their life, and it was like me as well. Like, I felt very empty for a long, long time, and it was almost like self improvement. I was trying to fill that hole inside of me, and that the only way you can fill that hole inside of you is by following God, right? And coming to Christ, accepting Christ into your heart. I'm telling you here, that's the only thing that will fill that hole. So you just got to ask yourself this question: who are you improving for, right? What are you doing it all for? Why are you putting in all this work for yourself, right? And now it sounds simple, like, just to, for myself, create a better life. And it's like, just think about people of the past, right? Think about your grandparents. Did they have this self-improving mindset? No, they didn't. Everything they did was for their community, for their families, for their wives, their children. Everything they did was for a greater purpose. They had a greater meaning, you know? Everything they did was either for God, and they didn't have this like self, almost like self-worshipped mindset. People nowadays are so like greedy. They're so I don't want to say like narcissistic in a way, but everybody's so selfish and they're so like sucked into themselves. People are not, people are changing. I put that down to obviously social media and stuff like that, and comparing your lives to other people, and just, as humans, we naturally just want to be, we don't want to be the ones left out in the group, and we want to be, obviously, you know, we don't want to be like, I don't know where I'm going with this, but the truth is, like, just ask yourself that question, man. Who are you improving for? If it's not for example, like if you're going to the gym just to want to become intimidating, if you're going to the gym to just want to get big and other people around you find you scary, if you're going to the gym because you want to be able to, I don't know, if you want to be able to fight people and be stronger, or just to like harm people, or, like, what's your reason? If it's not to become a stronger man for your future wife, to be able to protect her, if it's not to be somebody that's, your kids look up to and feel safe, it's like, what are you doing it for? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you got anything else to say there, boys? Like, I'm gonna explain it properly right now.
Yeah, one thing I would add is that the entire self-improvement community right now, it breeds a lot of arrogance, breeds a lot of pride, because you watch these videos, right? You get the confirmation, like, oh, look, you're special because you watch these videos, right? You want to be better, whatever. So you keep being indoctrinated that now you're someone better than other people. Like, not even like, I realized there's so many like young guys, they only watch the videos, they only consume the content, they don't even take action, but they already feel like they're better than other people. And they constantly get this confirmation, now you're better because you're improving, right? The point is, I think a lot of people are improving their lives without being on self-improvement, right? And I think you're almost being told like you're someone special now, like you're better than other people. And I think that's a huge problem I have, and that I see with so many, like especially the younger guys on self-improvement, right, who didn't come to self-improvement by themselves. Like, I think there's a difference between like having the desire to improve your life because you genuinely want to, because I feel like you can be more, or because you watch a video and suddenly someone tells you, oh, like you need to do all these habits and then you become a better person, right? And like, it's not really that you come to it by yourself. And I've seen a lot of guys develop a lot of arrogance around that, where it's like, I'm better now because I'm improving my life, I'm on self-improvement, right? And it's like, at least for me, what I've realized is you're not really doing something special. You're just adapting habits to become a normal human being, right? If before that you've been consuming, prawn, and you've been playing video games and eating junk food and you didn't have anything going for you, and now you're working out and you're improving your social skills and you're eating healthy or whatever, that's not something special. You're just living like a normal human being, right? And I think that's one of my biggest problems, is that people think, no, they're like so much better, and like, no, like, you don't understand, I'm better than all my peers, and like, I'm this ambitious guy. It's like, bro, like, you haven't done that much yet. You just developed like normal habits that you should develop naturally. And that's one of my biggest problems with the self-improvement community right now. And then, it's just a constant like, as I said, like reinforcement, like, oh, you're better, like, oh, you're on this path, and like all the other NPCs, they don't want to do it. It's like, no, like, you just stop doing all the stuff that is bad for you and move towards becoming a healthier version of yourself.
Yeah, that kind of reminds me of like no fap streaks. Like a guy who's on like no fap day 60 will like laugh at someone who's on no fap day 3. They'll just be like this insane, like, arrogance that just comes out of nowhere. It's like you're on your high horse, like when you get all that like like how do you say, it's like affirmation from like these other YouTubers and stuff, being like, yeah man, you're hitting the gym now, you're so much better than them. It's kind of like divide and conquer. It's like it becomes, they put you in that mindset of you versus them. It's like, hold up, why are we attacking our peers here who aren't like implementing these habits that we should be implementing? We should instead like encourage them, like, hey man, hit the gym with me, come on, let's get a workout in, instead of being like, oh, I'm better than you, I lift weights. That doesn't make any sense. But I see it a lot with a lot of these big self-improvement YouTubers, is they end up just dividing the people, right? Dividing the target audience from their friends. It's like, why are we trying to create a generation of narcissists? Like, that's not going to help in the future, in the long run. So, and also what you were saying, Julian, about like all that arrogance you get from like just implementing normal habits. When you really step back and look at it, it's like, yeah, it's just, you just hit the gym. Like, yeah, it's good that you overcome this addiction and now you're hitting the gym. It's like that's great. That's not the biggest thing in the world. You're nothing special, right? When you take a step back and you just look at it for what it is, it's like, okay, cool. Like, you're doing better. That's great. Like, not trying to undermine anyone's like progress, but the reality is, it's not like you just like invented like the light bulb. It's not something huge. It's, yeah, you're just taking care of your health. Cool. That's great. You don't have to be so arrogant about it. Instead, do it out of love. Help your brothers who aren't like currently implementing these habits, but don't think that you're so much better than them. Like, they actually might be happier than you are, if you think about it. Because a lot of these habits, what I found for myself as well, is that if I skipped one of them, I'd actually get more stressed out than I was before I even started implementing them. And when you get to that point, then technically you were better off before you found self-improvement. Because self-improvement today is more of a cult. It's either you're with us or you're against us. It's that divide and conquer thing. And like Kevin was saying earlier, it shouldn't be about self, right? It should be, you're in the gym to protect your future family. That's what it should be. That's how it was in the past, right? It wasn't self-improvement in the past. In the past, it was just, I'm going to be a better man. I have a duty to fulfill as a man, and I'm going to do it. I'm not going to think I'm this like great person for now. Oh yeah, I hit a PR in the gym. Oh, sick. Like, that's great. You didn't conquer anything like magical. It's good you're doing this, but just lower the arrogance, lower the pride, lower the ego, okay? And encourage others to get on board with you.
Yeah, you released a video recently, Zell, that I liked. What you kind of talked about, like the unnecessary stress that self improvement causes. Would you like to talk about that a little bit more?
Yeah, sure. So the thing
And
is with
like, just like real quick, like the way how you said, I really liked how you put it. Like, it was well worded, and I never actually thought about it this way. Like, when people get onto improving themselves and going to the gym, uh, it's like every time you go to the gym, you're actually bettering yourself. And then when they start missing these days, they start, let's say they miss a cold shower, they miss a gym session. It's almost like it's adding more stress, and they're worse off before. Like,
Yeah. So essentially what I was saying in that video was like, let's say you have like habit trackers, right? And you meditate because initially, like, okay, cool, I'm feeling better. I meditated. I feel great. But then you miss one of your 10 different habits, and now you're stressing out, you're freaking out. Oh no. Like, if once it's costing you like your health, because stress will aid you. The whole point of meditating is to relieve stress. But if you're stressing about missing meditating, then you're actually adding more stress to your life than you originally had, right? I'm not going to be able to put this as well as I did in that video, but um, that's basically the gist of it. So the whole point of meditating, lower stress. Oh no, I miss meditating. Oh no, now you're more stressed. So what was the point in the first place? So just do what works for you. And if you're stressing about it, then you're not getting a good return of investment of your time.
yeah, it's true though. It's true. Um, in a sense, like that can cause like an anxiety within you. You know, unnecessary anxiety. Like, I've known people that have been good, that once they've got onto self improvement, it's almost like they've had this anxiety now around their life. Oh, I need to do this. I need to do that. And it's like, relax, bro. You're fine. You're gonna be all right. It's you're just thinking too much. Take a step back. Focus on God. Yeah, have patience. I notice with a lot of things of the world, a lot of ideologies of the world, it's always like a lot of things always are very they almost give you like a fast paced mindset. And with following God, I found like it's helped me to learn to be more patient in life, to to just slow down a bit. And there's a lot of peace with just kind of just slowing down. And like I understand, like, if you want to achieve something, you want to get something done in your business, like, yeah, okay. But I think it's very important to have that, just that peace within you at all times. No matter what you are doing in life, if you don't have this peace within you, you're just going to be stressed. You're not going to be in the right state of mind. It's, you could start to develop anxiety, and you're not ever going to tackle things head on with with your full capacity of mind. I'm reading a book called The Art of War, and I noticed in it um, how it's basically talking about like war, and how leaders should be very calm minded. They shouldn't get attached to anything. They should be almost emotionally unattached to things. And this allows them to be much more level headed, much more, calm in the face of danger, and allows you to see things from all sides. If you're attached to things, if you're too sucked into your life, if you're too emotional, it's not going to be good. We should remain unattached to things in a way. And you get all this with following God. You become much more of a man following God.
Yeah, I just want to quickly say that that peace you get is from your faith in salvation.
Mm, exactly. No, that's facts, man. That's facts. God has given us a peace that we can rely on. Jesus Christ. In times of stress, hardship, we can rely on Jesus Christ.
Yeah. I think that's basically like being able to relax and surrender yourself to God's plan, right? I feel like when like a lot of self-improvement is about taking personal responsibility, right? Like self-improvement is nothing new. Like it only really popped up during the last like 2.5 years. But if you look at like all the big figures in the manosphere, um, they've been saying this for years, right? Jordan Peterson, Jocko Willink, David Goggins take personal responsibility. And I think it can turn to a point where you think like, okay, like I need to do all of this, like I need to fix my life by myself. But like it's okay, like God has a plan for you as well, right? And sometimes like if you don't see the results you have and like you start to beat yourself up, it's because you're trying to move on your own timeline. You're trying to like follow your own plan, but like God has a different plan, right? And so whenever I realize, okay, I'm impatient, like as you said earlier, Kevin, right? Like have a bit of patience. Like when I realize that in myself, okay, I'm stressing right now, I'm impatient, I feel like things aren't moving like fast enough. It's like, okay, that's because like it's not that like I'm late or like that I'm not on a perfect timeline. It's like God's timeline is just longer than mine. Like, and I'm impatient and I'm trying to move it on my own timeline. Well, in reality, okay, maybe I have to wait a few years or a few months or however long God says, okay, like you need to go through all these like struggles or like this process in order to get where you want to go, right? And so that's what's helped me a lot, just to like rely on God's plan and like pray about it, right? And said, okay, reveal your plan to me and like guide me along it and let me not, follow my own will, my own plan, but let me surrender into your plan because ultimately he knows way better where he wants to lead you, what's best in your life. And like not relying on it is like not having faith, right? Because you think like you know better about your life and you know better about all these things, but it's like, okay, he has it already figured out like way before you were ever born. Like, don't stress about it.
Mm. And with all this anxiety that like missing habits and self improvement can cause, like you got to have that faith in salvation. Without that faith in salvation, I think you're always going to have the anxiety. You're going to end up trying to rely on like medication to try to kill this anxiety. It's like if you just have faith, Jesus tells us not to be anxious. Jesus tells us not to worry because God already knows our needs, right? And when you truly have that faith in salvation that you cannot lose it, then you actually understand that even if I am to die tomorrow, like I don't have to worry about that because I have the faith that I have eternal salvation. And once you have that faith, literally it doesn't matter what happens in this life. Just try to do good in the eyes of God, try to be the best reflection of Christ that you can be. And at the end of the day, you have salvation. So whatever suffering you're going through, okay, it's going to be worth it. I don't have to worry about this. We got salvation. We got heaven. We got the promise of heaven. So you literally can just say no to anxiety.
Just say no.
Simple as that.
Yeah. You know, it's actually because I study a lot about anxiety and stuff because I coach clients on DPD, or if you don't know what it is, I'm not going to get into it in this video, but a lot of DPD where people get anxiety and they don't realize, like, to beat anxiety is you just got to stop fighting it. You just got to stop obsessing over it. You almost got to change your personality with it. And I noticed, like, with myself, because I grew up a very anxious guy, the one thing that helped me a lot in regards to anxiety was that faith in Jesus Christ, that faith, you know, and believing in Him, believing in God, following Christianity. Like I'm telling you, and I get so many clients that are reaching out to me and they're just saying, you know, God is healing me. He's working. And it's amazing to hear, like, God can actually cure that anxiety within you. And you know, it's just by having that faith. You know, you don't have to stress about working for your salvation. You don't have to stress about doing this and that. God has provided you a peace because He loves you and He cares about you and He wants to see you in heaven, you know?
Yeah.
And just to
Yeah.
branch
I
off
think
that
that.
real quick. Sorry, Joe.
Go ahead.
All right. Just to branch off that real quick. The reason that when we are saved, you know, it would be great if we were just taken straight up to heaven once we were saved, right? The reason why we remain here on earth is because without us Christians, without us believers here on earth, how would the unsaved know how to get saved, right? So that's why we stay here. So once you understand that too, you're like, oh, okay, well, now we have a clear purpose. A lot of guys get on self-improvement because they're also looking for purpose. It gives them a purpose. It basically gives them a religion to follow, self-improvement. But once you start to really like understand Christianity, you're like, wow, okay, so self-improvement is just religion without God for the most part. So I just want to put that in. Go ahead, Julian.
Facts.
Yeah, what I wanted to say is about the anxiety and like stress and worry part, right? I think a lot of people who aren't religious, who don't pray to God, they always wonder, like, what do you get out of praying? Like, what do you get out of believing in God, right? People always think about what they can gain. And I've heard this quote once where like it was like someone asked a man why he prays, like, what do you gain by praying to God? And he said, like, it's not about what I gain, it's about what I lost. And what I lost was anxiety, stress, worry, fear, all of that. And for me, that's so true. Like, literally, whenever I feel these negative emotions, when I feel that I'm not in control and I pray to God, literally within a few hours or within a day, my mind is calm again. I'm in peace again. And it's like, it's so fascinating to me because every single time I do this, it disappears so fast. Like, it's like God answers that prayer immediately. And it's, as I said earlier, because you trust God, you surrender yourself to it, right? And so it's, I think people who aren't religious, they don't really understand it. Like, they pray for something like to like happen in their life, right? And then they are impatient, and then it's like, okay, this is not working. But maybe pray about what God needs to take away from you, right? Maybe pray about you being more patient, right? And then that will happen, and then you will see, okay, look, this is actually exactly what I prayed for. I prayed to be a more courageous man. I pray to be, less anxious. And He takes that away. He takes away that fear. He takes away that anxiety, and that's what you gain: peace of mind.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true though. I've noticed prayers being answered in my life as well. You know, it comes from believing though. I notice people when they get into religion and they say, "Oh, I prayed to God, but He never answered me, so that means He's not real." It's like you don't have faith. You don't have true faith if you're not, if you're thinking like that. I speak to a lot of atheists, and this is their mindset. It's like, I asked God to show Himself to me, He never did. So, you tell me, what's that mean? And it's like, it starts with you. It starts with you taking that first step out and having that faith and believing He's there, right? And watch, He will show Himself to you. Like, He will.
The whole point of faith is believing that you have seen the unseen. If you could already see what is unseen, then what's the point of faith?
For we walk by faith, not by sight.
Exactly.
Yeah. Blessed are those who have not seen yet still believe.
That's what I was thinking about. I couldn't remember the words.
Yeah, but then you just got to ask yourself, right? What are you doing all this for, anyways? To bring it back to the topic, right? If you're not doing it for this greater purpose, for God, for a community, for a family, What are you doing it for? Everything that you do in this life will fade away and die away with you when you die, when you go to the grave. Everything, all your earthly possessions, everything that you worked for, it will die away if you don't do it for a greater purpose, right? And this is the mindset they want you to have as a young man. They want you sucked into yourself. They want you aggrandizing. I don't know if that's the right word, but you know what I mean. They want you, they want you, they want you narcissistic, man. They want you to be sucked into yourself. They don't want you building upon this greater purpose. They don't want you building upon the kingdom of God, right? They don't want you believing in God, bro. You do have a purpose as a young man. I feel like a lot of young men getting onto self-improvement is because of the lack of purpose in their life. You know, it's breeded insecurity in their life. They've noticed they are weak men and they want to do something about it. Let me tell you, the only way to become a strong man is to become a follower of Christ.
Amen.
Right? And leave away that past life. Yeah. Through the struggle of it, it will craft you into becoming a better person. And that's all you need. That's all you need to worry about, man. Yeah. You don't even need to worry. Rely upon Jesus, and you'll be good. You'll be good, my guy. But ask yourself, what am I doing it all for?
Yeah. Something else I realized is like, I think a lot of people, like, as you said, like, they try and find purpose. And with that comes, I think, almost like people want to leave a legacy behind, which by itself is great, right? Like, people, like, especially as men, we want to build something that outlasts us in this generation. And like, I used to be so focused on this. Like, there's this quote, like, you die 2 times, one time when your body dies, and the second time is when the last person says your name. And I used to be so afraid of that. I was like, no, I want to make my mark in the world. I want to be remembered as long as possible. And I've actually found my peace with that, where it's like, why would I matter? Like, what would I care about living on in this material world when I know my soul is going to live on in heaven, right? Like, why does it matter if people remember my name in 100 years, like, when I'm dead? Like, because I will be in heaven. Like, I will get eternal life. And that's way more important than, you know, feeling like, oh, I'm so great because people will still think about me.
Another thing I want to add on to our conversation is that without belief, without having faith that you are saved, like, you leave that really deep question unanswered. And I think this is what causes a lot of anxiety in people, is that they don't know what happens when they die, right? Why are we here? Like, all these things. People just run away from these questions. They go, no, it takes philosophers their entire life to try to answer it. And they still can't come up with an answer. It's like, dude, the answer is very simple. Like, what are you talking about? We were created by God. When we die, we go to heaven or we go to hell. Like, it's very straightforward. It's up to you. We have free will if we want to believe in what Jesus did, if we want to believe and have faith, Ephesians chapter 2, verse 8 to 9, if we want to accept that, or we deny God. And so it's very, very straightforward, easy to understand, and that's the truth. And when you run from this is where, like, you run into addiction to try to, like, numb your mind so you don't have to think about this thing. But there's always going to be that hole in your heart, no matter what you try to fill it with. I think a lot of guys get on self-improvement because they have a lack of God. They will try to do like 20 different habits in a day, you know, trying to fill that hole in their heart. But that hole is so big and these habits are so small. And the only thing that can fill that hole is the Holy Spirit. Because you can't, like, contain God. Like, I think it says somewhere in the Bible, like, your cup will overflow with the Holy Spirit. I'm not 100% sure. I heard that in some church, but it kind of makes sense. Like, you can't contain God. He's that big. So try to fill that hole in your heart with these little habits, and then stressing about when you skip one of these little habits. Come on, man. And if you're doing it all for you, you're just asking to be lonely at the end of your life. Like, I think true wealth is when you get to the end of your road, end of your journey, end of your life, knowing you have salvation, but then also having, like, a beautiful family, having grandchildren running around, you know. I think that's true wealth. Having, like, a homestead, your own land. I think that's true wealth, man. Because what's the point? I used to be a big believer in the male advantage journey as well. It's like, oh yeah, we're gonna sacrifice our 20s when we have, like, peak tests, and then get to our mid-30s, we should have a successful business, best shape of our lives, all this stuff, you know, all this money, all this wealth, all this success. But it's like, dude, like, I don't think that's it. I don't think that's it, man. I think it's best. I don't think that's wealth. I truly don't. I think wealth is having a family, preserving tradition and just knowing you're saved. Because all that success, I'm not trying to steer you away from your dreams and say don't be successful. No, success is great. It's your intent, right? Let's bring it back to the beginning of this. Like, it's your intent. Why do you want success? A lot of people get on male advantage journey so they can get as many beautiful women as possible. No, it shouldn't be about that. It should be, I want to be successful for generational wealth, so my great grandchildren do not have to be in poverty, right? So it switches it from, I'm doing this for me because I'm going from nothing to something, sigma male grind set, all this crap. No, I'm doing this for my future great grandson, so that he has a wealth of inheritance. He has like land. I truly believe like a homestead is the true wealth. Like, he has land. This land is feeding him, providing water for him. He's got security. He's got family, tradition. Like, there you go. When I take a look at like the masculinity, quote unquote, of today, seeing what's happening to the men, like, when you understand, I truly think that homestead and preserving traditional masculinity, traditional roles, preserving Christianity and all that, I think that's true wealth if you really look at it for the long run. So instead of doing this all for you, man, do it for your future family. Do it for your bloodline.
Yeah. And I think what you just touched upon is like the masculinity, because I think self-improvement and masculinity are like two terms that by now are like quite intertwined. The masculinity a lot of these self-improvement YouTubers teach nowadays, it's unbiblical, it's not righteous, and it pisses me off so much when you hear these guys say like, oh, like, I don't have to be monogamous, like I can like be in love with a woman and then sleep with other women. It's like, first off, that's fucking bullshit, and secondly, it's not righteous. It's not what God says, right? God says like that you should have one wife, and that when man and woman, when they come together, they become one flesh and they build a family out of that. And that's one of my biggest problems, honestly, with the self-improvement community, that kind of everyone started to follow Andrew Tate's advice because he became popular, and then everyone starts repeating the same bullshit, and it just steers us away from righteousness, and it indoctrinates all these young men who are on the search for purpose, for God, essentially, right? It fills that hole like of masculinity with something that isn't really godly, and I think that's a problem.
Yeah, it's like a smoke screen. It's like, look at all these beautiful women. Follow me. It's taking you away from God. It's superficial. It's not real. It's not deep. It's never going to fulfill your core. It's never going to fulfill your soul.
It's like the sirens.
Mm.
They lure you in with temptations and then they devour you.
Yeah, that's facts.
I mean, Andrew Tate literally has a tattoo of a snake on his arm. Symbolism right there.
Yep. And what's his name? Well, most people ain't gonna understand this, but Top G. What hand signals does he always do? If you know, you know. It's a deception. Yeah. Beware of false prophets, for they come to you as sheeps. And I'm saying it wrong, man. somebody said it, man.
Clothing.
Say it again, bro. You cut out.
Yeah, that's the same thing as wolves disguised in sheep's clothing.
Wolves disguised in sheep's clothing. Bro, I was going to say that, man, but then I was like, wait, does that make sense? I'm too tired for this, man.
Wolf in wolf's clothing. That one.
A wolf in, yeah.
Something wolf.
That sheep thing that barks. I don't know. That one.
Yeah.
Just, watch out for that one, yeah?
Oh, man. All right, boys. Let's wrap it up. Any closing words?
Do all the things you do for the glory of God, not for yourself.
Yeah, switch self-improvement to just improvement. Just ask yourself in any situation, what would a strong man of God do? And just do that. It just becomes straight to the point.
Boom. There we go. Thanks, everybody, for watching. We'll catch you all next week. Peace.